Hello, friend. So good to have you join me today. I'm thrilled to have you spend some time. We're going to do the Deal It Up challenge, so I hope you're up for a wee challenge this Monday morning or whatever time you're watching it. Let's get into it. As you can see, we have 4 sets of cards today, so we are going with 4 prompts. I do like to switch things up a bit. It keeps it from getting stale. So I hope you have fun with this week's challenge. I hope I do too. I'm sure I will. I do love these challenges. The randomness just really hits a great note for me, as well as a challenging one. Okay, colour blocking is our first prompt. And our next one. So I really am pleased that you've set aside just a little bit of time to come and hang out with me, to do something creative, or to listen as you're doing something more mundane. I do really enjoy having company in my videos, so thank you for being here. You are a star. Die cuts or punch, number 2 prompt. Number 3, okay, so this one's going to be the item that we're making by process of elimination, what we've already pulled out. It's very hard to deal such a small amount of cards, like to mix them up adequately. And go second from the top. A rectangle pocket. Cool. We always need some rectangle pockets. And let's see what our random final prompt is going to be from this giant stack of cards. It's just a normal stack, but it feels giant compared to the other ones, which are just a single suit. So I'm making a real hash job of trying to shuffle these. Oops, and I'm so out of practice, and my fingers are now, I've got arthritis in them, so it's not as easy as what it once was. But that's okay, I can still manage. It's adequate for our purposes. It's not like anybody's making a bet on this, is there? Well, I don't know. You might tell me different. Are you making a bet on what's coming out? It'll just be a secret between you and I. A path or road. Okay. So that's a different one that we haven't done before. I do have some magazines beside me today, so we will probably be doing a bit of magazine flipping. So first off, I'm going to grab a page, just a blank page, just so I know that I get my pocket the right size. I need a base for the pocket. What would I like to use today? A good old Reader's Digest page. Well, this one's been a bit inked up and everything. Yep, okay, that's going to do me. So I can put my page away because I wasn't sure whether I was going to go with one of these, so I just wanted to grab a page out just in case I went with something else. So I'm going to quickly, sorry for reaching, go in here and glue, because these are pages that I've just glued on. And so they're not properly glued together. So I just want to go in and make sure that they're nicely glued together, so that when you put something in the pocket, it doesn't try and slide somewhere you don't want it. It being a journal card or a tag or, whatever. Oops, and I just ripped the page. A little bit of glue on this side of the page there. So rectangle pocket, you could make it out of whatever you like. You could use a bit of scrapbooking paper. What have you got handy on your desk? A scrap of something. Anything you've got handy. There's lots of options, isn't there? Okay, so that's our base, nice and easy. I do like to put the folded edge at the top, and that means that things won't catch when they go in, but sometimes I mix it up in the process of collaging or whatever and end up with it upside down, so that's why I do like to make sure it's glued properly. And just like magic, it's done. I have a very sad story to tell you. Well, it's not that sad, and it's not very long. I was busy making my pocket to the prompts, and I got to the end, went to turn the camera off, and the screen was black. Yes, my camera had stopped recording at 4 minutes and 41 seconds into making today's project. I was a bit gutted. I was like, oh, I've got to redo it. So I've left the beginning of it in, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same prompts because that's what I pulled out. But instead of making another version of the same, I'm going to do something different. So the benefit of what happened has meant that I can get a bit more creative. I've had time to think, to plan, to prepare, and do something perhaps a little bit more exciting than what I'd normally get to do, because I'm no longer thinking on the fly, which sometimes, is a bit difficult. And I usually come up with something fairly basic. So instead, I am going to do a triple page pocket. I think that's as good a name as any. So what I've got here, I've prepared a book page. It was a bit too big, so I've cut it down to size. And then I've just folded in this side here. So it's going to be a side pocket on this side. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue that down as my first step. So I hope that you've got a cuppa that you're settled in, because this could be a little bit longer because I'm starting afresh, and I've got some things planned that hopefully will be a bit of fun. I was drinking coffee when I did the first part of this video, and then when it stopped I didn't have an opportunity to do it again straight away. So that was this morning. It's now the afternoon. Hubby's gone for a nap, and so I'm again time constrained because he's going to be up in about an hour. So we're not going to be longer than an hour, I promise. Right, so I've done that, and I'm going to take a little, I'm going to risk it even though the glue is wet, and it's all good. It's nice thick paper, this, so I didn't think it would be too much of a problem. And then I'm going to put 2 pockets on the front, so that's where the triple pocket, so 1 in the side and then 2 pockets on the front. So I'm going to do it, and this is where the colour blocking part of the prompt's going to come in. I'm going to use 2 different papers. So they're going to be the 2 of the same colours that I used in the first one that you didn't get to see me make. And I was chatting away, I was having a good time talking to you, and I'm sure you were talking back to me. Well, that must have been my imagination, because the camera had turned off. Right, I'm gonna do a gusseted, or do gusseted pockets for these 2 ones on the front. So I want to make it bigger than what I need so I can fold it in for the gussets, and hopefully do it straight. Yep, should be about right, I think. Yes, perfect. Okay, so now I want to make sure I get the same width for our other pocket. So folding those gussets back out, and I'm just going to tear it down to the same size-ish. Close enough is good enough. I can just adjust the folds if I need to take it in a little bit more or let it out a little bit. So whereas on the other one I went with 3 colours for the colour blocking, this time I'm just going to go for 2, because I haven't got room to put the 3rd one in, unless I end up doing some accents or something. Okay, so I'm going to fold in this side, and okay, now this is where I need to make sure I'm getting it about the same size. Turn it up the other way, I think would be easier. So yes, after I had that failed recording this morning, I knew I didn't have time to finish it or do it again before hubby got home from his coffee outing. So I did some preparation for this, and then when he got home we went out, got rid of all the recycling down to the recycling centre. And then what did we do then? Oh, then we went to the local domain where there's a whole lot of oak trees, and picked up some acorns because I want to do some acorn dyeing. I've never done it before and I want to give it a go. It's not the right time of year to be collecting the acorns. I have got some that I collected in autumn, at the beginning of autumn, but I didn't have enough, so I'll give it a go, and it's going to work or it won't. If it doesn't, well, I'll have to wait till next autumn to give it another try. But I'm really curious to see what I can get. Okay, I'm going to snip tops of these as well. And now I'm going to just make sure it doesn't interfere with our thumb notch here. So that's looking good to me. Actually, I think I'm just going to give it, it's only photocopy paper or photocopy weight paper. So I'm going to have to re-snip those corners. So I just want to give it a little bit of strengthening at the top there, so that we don't break our pocket when we're putting things in and out of it. Now I've got a silly little triangle there, so let's just snip that off. So I was telling you all sorts of stories, and now I can't remember anything I told you. I know I talked about my lunch out yesterday. I went and had lunch with extended family, which happens once every month at the end of the month, and I hadn't been for a few months because of my surgery, so it was nice to go and catch up with people I don't see very often. Right, so that's that, which I like. We're going to put a thumb notch in that as well. So let's go ahead and do this one. Oh, I know what I was telling you. I was telling you about an interesting thing that I saw yesterday when I was out, as we were driving to my hubby's work. And my mind still can't quite deal with it, really. Like, it was so cool. Something I've never seen before. A colourless rainbow. Have you ever seen a colourless rainbow? I hadn't, and it was one of those things where it's like, is it actually a rainbow? And I thought maybe it's just light shafts. But light shafts don't bend. They don't arch. Like a rainbow, goes an arch. Light shafts go often on an angle, but straight, and they hit the ground, and that's it. They don't bend in the sky. And then as we were driving along, every now and then you could just see a light shimmer of colour. Now, these don't have to be the same height, but I think I'd like them to be approximately the same height, roundabout. So yes, it was fascinating, and I watched it until we passed out the other side. I just watched it fascinated, waiting for those little glimmers of colour. It was so cool. It really was cool, people. But I don't know if you could ever capture one, because, when there is colour, it's very, very subtle. So if you tried to photograph it or paint it, like, what would you colour? It would just look white. And it was foggy. So I believe that it was colourless because of the fog. And it was the moisture in the air from the fog that was creating it. It's just so fascinating. Right, now which one was the top and which one was the bottom? Guess it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to make that the top. So I did tell you about that in the video that you will never see. No one will ever see, because it didn't happen. Fortunately, it doesn't happen very often, but it was my fault. when I record on a special phone just for doing YouTube videos. And once a week I make sure I go and delete the ones that are already up on YouTube, and then I go into the recycle bin and delete them out of the recycle bin as well, just so I don't run out of memory. Well, I had deleted them but had forgotten to delete them from the recycle bin, and my phone was 95% full. That's why it stopped recording. So it was my fault, because I neglected to empty the recycle bin. So every now and then you do something silly like that. Well, I do something silly like that, I mean. And then you don't do it for a while. Until next time when you forget, like a silly Billy. Because I was definitely a silly Billy. But no drama really. It just gave me an opportunity to have a bit more of a think about what I wanted to do, how I was going to do it, and all that. Now, I don't think I want these inked. No, I'm not going to ink them. I don't want yellow on top. It does talk about someone dying here. It's a book on famous artists. And this happens to be a section on the Dutch artists. But we don't really need to know when the artist died, do we? So I think I'll just do it that way round. I'm going to glue these down. And that's going to be our colour blocking aspect. And they're all rectangle, so it's our rectangle pocket part of the prompt that we've got down as well. So far we've got 2 parts of the prompt met. So we're doing well so far. So just adding in those gussets just gives it a little bit more room in that pocket. Now you don't have to do the gussets if you don't want to. You can just put strips of paper or cardstock or book page straight across, and you'll just have a smaller pocket, slightly smaller. Gussets do allow something a little bit thicker, but you might not want anything thicker in your pocket. You might only want something thin. Just gives options, I think. Right, so I need to make sure I get it over this guy's death and above our little thumb notch there. Try and line it up so it's level with the sides and the text and the bottom pocket. And I think I didn't do too bad. I'm happy with that. Okay, now, so just to refresh myself, because it's, a few hours since I did it. So I've got pocket rectangle or rectangle pocket. We've got colour blocking. So we need a path or road. So on the other one that I made, wherever I put it, I had this image out of a magazine here, a path leading up to a house, which I think was really cool. This time I'm going to create a path because I thought I want to do something different. Now I need some scrap paper. This will do here. And I want to create the outline of a path. And actually, I think I need to make sure I'm working within the confines of my piece of paper here. So let's kind of mark that out to begin with. So up there and across there. It's kind of the boundaries. Whoops, very, very wobbly. It's fine. That's fine. So what I'm thinking of is, you know how you look into a distance and a path gets narrower, and I want it kind of interesting. So I'm going to widen it as it comes down towards here, like so. Oops, I better put the lid on my glue before it dries out. And I'm going to trim out this part of the path. And what I'm doing is I'm making a little stencil or mask very hard to talk in cart, I tell you. But I feel like I've already told you everything, and I don't want to repeat myself because, you know, you might not stay around if I repeat myself. I'm sure you will, though. You're my friend. You're there for me, and I do so appreciate that. Right, so now I'm going to lay that over there, like so, about where I want it, and I'm going to stencil in that gap in the shape of a path. Okay, that's where I'm heading. I do need a bit more paper under there. So let's just grab this scrap out of my bin. Whoops. Pop that under there just to catch the ink from underneath. Line this up where we want it. And I'm going to go right over the top. So over top of the book page at the back and the pockets. And I've chosen out 2 stencils. I wasn't sure which one I wanted. This sort of brick wall looking one, or this honeycomb, which is really a faux honeycomb. It's quite squished. It's not a perfect hexagon. It is still a hexagon. And it's like that will give me more of a cobblestone look, and this one will give me more of a brick path look. I'm not sure which one I want to go with. The only thing with doing this is we won't get the narrowing of the cobblestones or the bricks as the path narrows. But, you know, if you've got a stencil that does do that, awesome, excellent. Go with that. Right. Now, I'm just going to go with this one because this was my first thought. And then when I was pulling this one out, I saw the brick one. I'm going to use Shadow Grey and see how it goes. I might end up going for something different. Oops, make sure that paper doesn't move at the side there. So sorry, my hand might be in the way. So it's going to look like grey concrete cobblestones or grey stone pavers or whatever the path is made of. Can tell you a little story. You could easily do it in like terracotta, do a terracotta path, or whatever colour you like. You could do it green and make it like little mossy tiles. That would be quite cool. Okay, now just making sure I kind of get the shapes lined up. And then I'll add some detail in with a pen just to, I might do some coloured pencil shading. Whoops, yeah, darn it, I moved that paper. It's quite thin holding together there at the top. So take that away. And we've got kind of the hint of a path. I hope that that translates. I think it's there. It needs a little bit of work. Do I want to do colour pencil? Or, sorry, a little burp there. Try not to let it out because that would be very rude. Do I want black pen? That would definitely show it up more, wouldn't it? Okay, let's go ahead. Can't take too much time thinking about that because I didn't really get down the bottom properly. Oh well, it is what it is. So, just going to go around loosely. I'm not worrying about getting perfect. In fact, I quite like it if it's a little bit wonky, a little bit off, either inside or out or both of the shapes. Just give it a somewhat organic look. It's almost like a giraffe neck actually. And that's a pain because now I've got that in my brain. I'm trying to do this really quickly so I'm not, because I've got, you know, several other things I want to do as well to this. Oops, a little bit tricky down the edges of the pockets. Concentrating here, so I went quiet. So what did you get up to at the weekend, my friend? Did you do something fun? Tell me what you got up to. Did you craft? Did you go out and have some fun? We've had just such a beautiful day here. It's just glorious. Sunshine, quite warm. Just got the fire going, very slowly ticking over. Beautiful outside, very spring-like. There's blossom, there's birds, there's lambs everywhere. Oh, it's just gorgeous. But it is supposed to turn cold and yucky this afternoon. We're still in winter, can't complain. I just am so enjoying the light and the warmth. Can't wait for spring proper. It's my favourite time of year. Just gorgeous. What's your favourite time of year? I know a lot of people like autumn. I like autumn, but spring is definitely my favourite. To me, it's like a time of awakening. Like you've been inside and it's been cold for what feels like forever. And then spring, it's warming up, so you just want to get outside. There's sunshine, so you feel happier, brighter. The days are getting longer. And it just feels like a time to begin things, to experience life properly again. Get out and have fun. So that's what spring is to me. And of course, you know, pretty flowers, beautiful scented flowers, baby animals, cute bird song, all the wonderful things. Just can't beat a good spring. Right, and I didn't get any down there, so we won't worry about that. So at the moment, I am seeing giraffe. I don't know if you get giraffe. I'm kind of getting giraffe out of that, but it's all right. As we go on, I think that will fix. So I may go and do some shading, but I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I am conscious that have got limited time. So another thing I did while I had the luxury of time once the other video failed is I prepared some die cuts, because that is our other prompt, die cuts or punched shapes. And I punched these. I got this coloured cardstock in a pack from my husband. Really pretty colours, really pretty. He gave me 2 packs. He's giving me a gift at a day all through August. It's very, very sweet. So I've got 2 packs of this cardstock. So I did some die cutting, and I did a little experimenting with inking the die cuts. So I did half a sheet. So I got a lot out of the half sheet, and these are little rose leaves, die cuts. And then I inked around the edges of some of them with different greens to see what I liked and what I didn't. And this one, is this the gold one? One of them I did in gold. I think it's this one. Or is it this one? No, it's this one. This one's actually gold. And this one, Shabby Shutters, Distress Ink. This one's Tropical Green in the Versacolor. And then this one is Library Green in Ranger Archival. So, and the gold is unbranded. I thought we could put some little leaves along our path. I don't know, I'm just wondering. And then these ones are plain, they're not inked, so I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, which way I wanted to jump. I kind of like having different colours, so some ink, some not. I think that's quite cool. I think I'm going to go with that actually, just like that, and I'll play more with the ones up here. So I'm just going to pick them both up together rather than try and fiddle around with how I had them. Once I've got glue on, just going to glue them both together. Glue bottle in where they overlapped, put a little bit in between. And hopefully I got glue everywhere. I can just push the nozzle in underneath if I missed somewhere. So I've got them kind of interwoven, so there's some above and some underneath from each set, from inked and non-inked. I didn't really get that one glued. So, and the wee stem. That's the tricky thing with die cuts, is you often get very fine parts that can be hard to get glue on and stick down. So in a way this is another form of colour blocking because they're all the same green, and then I've just inked them up. So kind of like that, and then we can put a label or something here. Okay, so this is the gold one and the library green one together, and I will show you how to ink them, just in case you're curious of how to go about that, and a little trick for testing whether you actually will like it, because that's the other thing, you know, you might not like the look, or you might need to test the colour to make sure the colour's going to work. So I'll show you a little tip and trick for that with the spare ones that I've got cut out. Oops, I'm having trouble here where I'm holding it. I need to put glue, but I also need to be holding it, so tricky. So I think where I've got the leaves over the edge of the page, I can either trim them off, or I think there'll be plenty of room, so they can just hang off the edge of the pocket and it will load from this side. So I think that's fine. Do I want to put in? No, that's the Shabby Shutters one. Shabby Shutters and the gold are very similar, only the gold's got a slight shimmer to it. We could tuck one down inside the pocket there a little bit. Actually, I really like that, so I'm going to do it. Why not? And it connects the two pockets, kind of gives them a little more connection, as well as the path. Okay, move our page out of the way because we don't need it there. Okay, am I done with leaves? I could cut some of the leaves off and put individual leaves on if I wanted, or leaf and stem. You could do that. Do we want to just see, have a little play and see? I'm going to take this biggest one off, just snip it. So each one of those would be able to pull off. There's not enough glue under that, so I'm going to, I think that's where I was holding it and I couldn't get the glue there. Of course, you don't want to go too far either. So you can't see the wood for the trees, and you can't see the pocket for the leaves. Now, and adding in little ones like this just mean it alters the shape, so they're not all identical. It's another way to vary them. So I am going to tuck this one in there. Otherwise it's just going to end up in the bin because it will get lost. It will end up on the floor, get damaged somehow. So let's just pop that up there, and you can still get into that pocket. So it's not interfering because it's going right off the corner of the pocket. Cute. Do I want something down here? Let's cut another one off. Gives it a very dimensional look too when you start layering up the leaves like this. I'm so far very happy with how this is turning out. I'm actually quite glad that video didn't work, because I never would have done this otherwise, and I wouldn't have thought of the idea either. Right, and maybe a little one. Oh, this is going to be a case of where does one stop? Where does one stop doing it? Put it, attach it like that. No, don't like that. Maybe we don't need this one. Maybe it is just that one straw that broke the camel's back. Maybe up here. No, I think it is the proverbial straw. Okay, so stop fiddling with it. Stop fiddling. Okay, so as promised, I will show you this little trick with the, I'll actually do it on this one, this bit of paper. Right, so you die cut, you've got a right side and a wrong side, so flip it onto the wrong side. Grab an ink that you might like, and I'll do it with this tropical green because it'll be easier to see. A sponge or some form of dauber or something, put it in your ink and just very carefully work it around the outside. And kind of hold it into a narrow little bundle so you're not covering the whole thing. You're just trying to hit the edges. And in some places it will go over more than others. That's fine. And you just work, take your time, work around the edge of each leaf. Like so. And then you can look at it and go, do I like that? Is it something I want to do on the right side? Because the right side is still pristine, it hasn't got any ink on it. So you can then decide, do my colours work? Do I need to change my colour? Do I want to try a different colour? Do I want to try a couple of different colours to see what effect that could have? And that's something I haven't done. So let's go ahead with this dark library green and add a, maybe not all the way around, maybe we just want to hit some spots with it and see whether we like using it a couple of different tones of green. Oops, there's a hair in the way there, distracting me. And then if you're happy with your experiment, then you know what you want to do on the front, if anything. I mean, you might decide, no, I just like them plain. Because actually this cardstock is really pretty, and it is very pretty, just as it is with the vein details and everything. But I just wanted to do it up a little bit. And see, I quite like that, the two different greens. Just gives it a little bit more depth. But the other side is still uninked. Okay, so back to our project here. I do feel like I want to add a label. Label or a word? And let's try a label first. Too small. Way too small. No. Maybe a label isn't the right thing. I had this problem with the other one too. All the labels I pulled out, I just wasn't happy. It wasn't gelling for me, which is unusual because I love labels on things. This one's quite cute. I like the colour actually. I wonder whether I need a little bit of text behind it. That's the other thing that happened in my first attempt at this video. I upended my text bag, the bag I have all my text in, on the floor. It all fell out. And so I had to spend time picking that up because it was just a mess. I do like that better. I don't want that sticking up over the top of the pocket because it will stop things going in the pocket. So do be aware of that. Yep, I'm going to put that there. So I'll give you a better look at the one I did in my first attempt when I'm done with this, and I will ink up this. Nothing else is inked, but there is a slight white edge around this where I didn't cut it entirely close enough. So ink will help with that. So I would have spent this time watching a YouTube video if I hadn't needed to re-record. So I'm a bit behind in my YouTube watching with being out yesterday and now having to record a video twice, the same video effectively. Awesome. I'm going to call that done, I think. I will probably do some shading on this part just to make it more sort of path-like. In fact, I think I need to kind of give it an edge, is what I think it's also needing. Something like that. Just a bit more definition. Like that. Yep, that's better. Immediately that made a difference, but I think I will go in and shade it with some pencils, but that's going to take me a wee while because there's lots of little detailed areas there. So that is my pocket. So we have a path or road. This is our path. We have die cuts or punches, so we've got die cuts here. We have, it's rectangle pocket, but we've got 3 pockets, so we've got the big one, and then we've got our 2 little gusseted ones, and we've got a colour blocking with the colours of the pockets. I am super happy with that. So let's pull over the other one. Let's hold this one up a bit closer first. You can kind of get that detail, and this is the one that I made in the first video that you'll never get to see. So we've got die cut here. I also punched the corners on this picture, ended up covering up 3 of the corners, but there you go. This is our path, and then I did a collage of the colour blocked colours in the background. So in this one I used the yellow and that peachy colour and the blue. In this one I just used this peachy, apricot-y, whatever colour you call it, and the yellow. I didn't use the blue. And then I stuck on a few labels, a word and a butterfly on this one just to tie it in the big book page. So still a lovely pocket, but I feel like this kind of just was a bit different, you know, a bit more extended, a bit more challenging, and actually my pocket fits in there. Of course, I'm not going to put a pocket in a pocket. That seems a bit excess. And now I'm just talking about nothing. It's a Saturday afternoon. It's been a somewhat frustrating day, but it's also been a good day. I thank you for sharing it with me. I thank you that you've come and hung out with me. Just have a little time, get inspired, and I hope you are inspired to do the challenge because they are fun. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, my friend. Have a great day. Bye.